Welcome to From the Desk of ShechetAI.
Your regular check-in on the world of artificial intelligence.
Exactly. We're here to sort of cut through all the noise. We look at the latest articles, the newest research, add our own insights.
And give you the important takeaways, the stuff you really need to know.
Right. Each deep dive, we look at AI news through, well, three main lenses. We look at the philosophical side, the business angle, and the societal impact.
Trying to make these complex topics clear, hopefully captivating for pretty much everyone. No PhD in computer science needed.
Definitely not. So today, we're diving into how AI is, well, fundamentally reshaping things.
Right.
Our ethics, the economy, even just our daily lives.
It's a big topic.
Huge. Think of this as your shortcut, getting those crucial aha moments without drowning in information overload.
And the sources we've looked at this time, they paint a really dynamic picture. We're seeing a few core themes emerge.
Like what?
Well, first, how humans are, maybe surprisingly, becoming essential troubleshooters for AI systems, fixing the glitches. Then there's the truly revolutionary impact AI is starting to have in really urgent situations. Emergency healthcare is a big one we'll discuss.
Okay, life and death stuff.
And finally, how the future of work is actually transforming. It's maybe less about mass job losses like you hear all the time and more about evolution.
Interesting. Okay, well, before we get into all that, let's kick off with something practical that really jumped out. The automation idea of the week.
Ah, yes, the chatbot idea.
But not just any chatbot, right? Forget those clunky ones we've all wrestled with.
Oh, definitely.
This idea is about a new kind of AI assistant, one that's so highly personalized, it basically becomes the digital soul of a business.
That's a great way to put it.
It's not just spitting out canned answers. Our sources describe this AI adapting seamlessly to a company's unique voice, its specific customer needs, even its complex internal workflows.
And it learns, right? That's the key part. It uses advanced natural language processing, machine learning.
Yeah.
It gets context.
Exactly. It understands context, learns from interactions, becoming this kind of bespoke digital ambassador.
So it's like having a conversation 24/7.
Right. Which builds loyalty, frees up human staff from more strategic stuff. It's a really surprising twist on customer service, isn't it?
It really is. A far cry from press 1 for sales.
Yeah. So as you can tell, we're aiming to go deep today. Our mission is really to explore these nuanced perspectives from the sources.
And figure out what they tell us about our, let's face it, pretty complex relationship with technology.
Sometimes paradoxical, even.
Definitely sometimes paradoxical.
Okay, so let's unpack the first big idea. This comes from a BBC article. The headline was something like, "I'm being paid to fix issues caused by AI."
Right, I remember that one.
It highlights this really counterintuitive thing. AI gets smarter, but humans aren't disappearing. Instead, they're becoming these indispensable AI doctors, maybe.
AI doctors, I like that. Constantly validating, correcting.
Yeah. There's this paradox where we, the creators, are now spending so much time fixing the errors the AI makes.
It's almost a role reversal.
It really is. We build these powerful tools, and then we end up having to constantly check their homework, like a new kind of digital parenting.
That framing immediately sparks some pretty deep philosophical questions, doesn't it?
For sure. Like what?
Well, questions about authenticity, trust, what knowledge even is. If an AI generates something that needs a humor to fix it, can we really call that output reliable or truly meaningful?
Good point. It's not just about typos.
No, it's fundamental. And we know AI hallucinates, right? It makes stuff up sometimes. These inaccuracies persist.
Yeah.
So ethically, how much should we rely on systems that are, imperfect and often black boxes we don't even know why they made a mistake?
Yeah.
So the big question is, are we outsourcing our critical thinking, just letting the machines do it? Or are we maybe co-creating a new landscape for knowledge, one where human oversight isn't just a backup, it's actually essential for defining what's true or valid?
That's a fascinating idea. Human judgment becomes more precious, not less, even as AI grows. But here's the flip side. If the AI is doing so much of the initial thinking, even if it's flawed, do our own critical thinking muscles sort of atrophy?
Yes, the tightrope walk.
Do we risk becoming too reliant, even knowing the systems aren't perfect?
That is the critical balance, absolutely.
Yeah.
The sources are pretty clear. AI gives us immense power, but yeah, there's this risk, erosion of our own ability to reflect, to think independently if we aren't careful.
Right.
So the question hangs there. At what point does relying on AI start to diminish our uniquely human capacity, our ability to discern, to question, to really understand? It's a tension we'll be living with.
That tension, that balance, it gets incredibly stark and honestly really interesting when we pivot from the philosophical to the practical.
Yeah.
High-stakes practical.
You mean emergency response?
Exactly. There's this article, AI Transforms Healthcare for Faster, Smarter Care in Emergency Crises. It really shines a light on AI's potential to completely change how organizations react when every second counts.
Yeah, literally life or death scenarios.
And the source material has these compelling examples. Almost hard to believe, some of them.
Like the wildfire prediction.
Yes. Using AI with drones to predict wildfire spread way more accurately. Think about what that means for evacuations, for getting resources in the right place, saving lives.
It's incredible.
And then totally different context, but just as vital. AI helping increase vaccination rates in refugee camps, optimizing logistics, outreach in these incredibly tough environments.
These aren't just small tweaks.
No, it's fundamental change in tackling global crises. It shows AI's power for massive positive impact.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, strategically, for companies, for governments, the implications are huge.
How so?
Well, these AI tools boost speed, precision, resource allocation. They let organizations act proactively, not just reactively when disaster strikes.
Getting ahead of the curve.
Precisely that shift. It can slash costs and, more importantly, save lives. Organizations that get this right, that integrate these tools effectively.
Gain an advantage.
A huge advantage, not just in efficiency, but in building trust, especially in vulnerable communities. Showing up effectively, compassionately. That matters.
Okay, that makes sense. But there have to be downsides, right? Risks.
Oh, absolutely. The sources are clear on the challenges, too. Deploying tech this powerful isn't simple.
Like what kind of challenges?
Well, ethics, for one. Data privacy is massive, especially with sensitive health data in crisis zones.
Right.
Then there's algorithmic bias. If the AI learns from skewed data, its decisions could actually make existing inequalities worse.
Oof, yeah.
And infrastructure gaps. Does everyone get access to these tools, or do they just widen the divide between the have and have-nots? Equitable access is a major hurdle.
So from any organization jumping into this, the big challenge is balancing the innovation drive with being responsible.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
Harnessing the power without compromising safety, fairness, ethics, especially when lives are literally on the line.
Which brings us right back to that question we keep circling, doesn't it?
It does. How do we keep that essential human oversight, our judgment, our empathy in the loop, especially when the tech is moving so fast and the stakes are so high?
That question about human oversight feels even more critical when we zoom out to the wider societal shifts, particularly AI and jobs.
Yes, the topic everyone worries about.
Totally. It sparks so much fear. You see the headlines, read the articles like the NBC News piece we looked at. It's all about mass unemployment, economic chaos.
The robots are taking our jobs narrative. It's deeply ingrained.
It really is. But what's fascinating here, and maybe a bit surprising,
is that the evidence in our sources kind of pushes back against that?
Exactly. It suggests the impact is more about transformation than just eradication.
Yeah, many roles seem to be evolving, shifting, not just vanishing.
So the sources are basically telling us to maybe rethink that whole AI as job killer story.
Pretty much. They frame it more as a catalyst, something that's pushing us to redefine what work is, demanding new skills, new ways of collaborating. It's less about replacement, more about redefinition.
And it's not just jobs, is it? We're talking bigger societal shifts.
Absolutely. Changes in identity, for instance. How do we define ourselves if our work changes so drastically?
Good question.
And the need for totally new skills across the workforce. Plus, social norms are evolving as AI gets embedded deeper and deeper.
Like in hiring, customer service.
Even creative fields. It affects not just what we do, but how we interact, how decisions get made. And that subtly changes who we are as a society.
And there are other big worries the sources flag too, right? Beyond jobs.
Definitely. Privacy is a huge one, obviously. AI systems ingest so much personal data. Do people understand? Do they consent? Often not really.
Yeah, the terms and conditions nobody reads.
Exactly. Then there's digital inequality. Does AI create more opportunity for everyone, or does it widen the gap between those with access and skills and those without?
Creating new divides.
Potentially. And transparency is key. If an AI makes a decision about you alone, a job, maybe even a medical diagnosis, don't you deserve to know how it reached that conclusion?
Absolutely. It challenges our basic ideas of fairness, of human dignity.
It really does. So The big question our sources leave us with, and maybe leave you, the listener, with, is this.
Okay.
Will all these changes lead to a more inclusive society or a more divided one? And the answer seems to depend heavily on us, on how we choose to regulate this technology, how we educate people, how we adapt.
So it's about balancing that promise of innovation with, well, with keeping society cohesive and fair.
That's the core challenge. How do we manage that balancing act? It's something we'll need to keep asking.
So wrapping things up here from the desk of ShechetAI, what does this all mean? We've covered a lot today.
A real mosaic, as you said earlier.
Yeah. From humans becoming these crucial AI troubleshooters, adding value in unexpected ways, to AI's incredible life-saving potential in crises.
And the way it's transforming, not just destroying, the job market.
Right. It seems pretty clear that humans, with all our ingenuity, but also our caution, are still very much steering the ship when it comes to AI.
We're fixing it, we're innovating with it, and hopefully we're questioning it every step of the way.
It really feels like we're at a crossroads. Technology is amplifying our creativity like never before.
But it's also shining a very bright light on our vulnerabilities, isn't it? Challenging our core values.
Yeah.
Maybe the biggest takeaway, the most profound insight from the sources, is that AI's true potential isn't just about the tech itself.
What is it about them?
It emerges when AI is paired carefully, thoughtfully, with human judgment, human ethics, and maybe most importantly, human empathy.
The combination.
Yeah.
Not one or the other.
Exactly. It's that blend.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe some food for thought for you to ponder after this deep dive.
Go on.
After all, what is progress if it isn't fundamentally a collective journey to better understand ourselves, both within the machine and beyond it?
That's a good place to leave it.
Thanks for joining us today. Stay curious, keep asking those big questions, and keep doing your own deep dives.